Your friends are screaming at the television. Full rage, somebody missed a pass, and the whole room sounds like a courtroom verdict just went wrong. And you're sitting there, same couch, same game, completely fine. That disconnect between you and everyone else in the room, there's a reason it exists. And it has nothing to do with how much you care about the game. You enjoy a good game, you'll watch the playoffs, pick a side, maybe even get loud when something crazy happens. But when the final whistle blows, you're done. New thought, different tab, what's for dinner? Meanwhile, the people around you are entering a mourning period that somehow lasts until Wednesday, a Tuesday night regular season loss, and it's genuinely affecting their mood at work the next morning. Someone brings up the score and they react like you mentioned a death in the family, and the gap between your reaction and theirs, it's not about who cares more. There's a term for the boost everyone feels after a win, basking in reflected glory. Your team wins. You feel a little taller the next day, but for some people, a loss triggers the exact opposite, an actual ego threat, like something about them personally just failed. That's why the blame always has to land somewhere. Refs, coaching, anything but accepting the result. You've seen this. Someone says, the other team just played better, and the room goes quiet, like they insulted somebody's family. Apparently there's a correct way to lose, and calmly accepting reality, isn't it? And calmly accepting reality, isn't it? And that unspoken pressure to perform the grief, that's where it actually starts costing you. The thing nobody talks about is how tiring it is to be the calm one. Not the game itself, the people around it. You can't change the subject after a loss. You have to sit in the silence and honor the devastation over something that ended 3 hours ago. Call it just a game out loud, and suddenly you're the problem. Fair weather fan, too casual, like not being emotionally wrecked somehow means you don't care. There's a name for what you're resisting in those moments: emotional contagion. Humans evolved to mirror the group's emotional intensity, because historically, if everyone around you was panicking, something was probably worth panicking about. Your brain sits in that chaos, scans for an actual threat, and doesn't find one, so it doesn't sync up. And that filter runs on its own, every game day. Every game day, every group chat meltdown after a bad call, every Monday at the office when someone wants to relitigate the fourth quarter and you're already thinking about lunch, but the wiring that keeps the game in its box that didn't just show up one day. So you've got a brain that enjoys the game, but won't let the game wreck the week, that sits in a room full of contagion and doesn't catch it, and that somehow makes you the odd one out at the table. All of that runs on something specific, but what most people never ask is why some brains do this and others can't. And others can't. And not every version of this calm comes from the same place. Some people don't obsess because their life already has real stakes. They compete at something themselves, or their week already carries pressure where the outcome is actually on them. When your own adrenaline has mattered in a real situation, your nervous system stops spending it on things you can't influence. The game becomes what it technically always was: entertainment. The credits roll, you leave, but some people don't obsess for a completely different reason. There's a concept called identity fusion, where the line between me and the team disappears entirely. When the team loses, they lose. Their mood, their confidence, their sense of where they stand. All of it riding on something they had zero control over. The person who watches calmly and moves on doesn't have that merger. Sports is a thing they watch. It was never a thing they are. You can usually spot the difference. One finishes the game and starts talking about dinner. The other never needed the game to be fun. They needed it to mean something. And that separation, the one that lets you leave the game at the game, it shows up in a lot of other places you probably haven't connected yet. I'll be honest, there's a version of this worth paying attention to. If nothing gets a reaction anymore, if you've gone quiet on everything, and not just the score, that's not healthy compartmentalization. That's something else. But if you enjoy the game and just don't let it follow you home, most of the people losing their minds in front of the TV aren't more passionate than you. They just have fewer places to put what they're feeling. The game gives them somewhere to put their stress, their frustration, their need to belong to something bigger than their week. You don't need that outlet. So the game stays a game, that room where everyone's screaming and you're sitting there perfectly calm. You're not missing something they have. You just never confused a hobby with a personality. And if you've ever wondered why you treat internet drama and viral outrage the same way, same engine, different screen, subscribe if you want that one next.